This is the new Peugeot 5008. Once again, it's a design tour de force. You can have it as a mild hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or a pure electric. Is this the answer to the needs of all those families who complained about the lack of 7-seater EVs other than those based on commercial vehicles? Well, kinda, sorta. And I think now I should do a face for the YouTube thumbnail. The Peugeot 5008 MPV debuted in 2009 as the Citroën C4 Picasso's ugly sibling. Not that its predecessor, the 807, was a looker. The second generation of 5008 launched in 2017 and it was no longer an MPV but an SUV. With almost 24 cm ground clearance, at least on paper, and the optional grip control ESP mode selector, it could pass for something mildly crossoverish. There was no all-wheel drive, but the interior was minivan practical, with some French idiosyncrasies, but as a whole, the car looked modern and bold compared to its rather generic competition. The third generation expands on the design without going over the top. This is still a striking, interesting car inside and out. The ground clearance has been lowered to around 20 centimeters, but that's still better than many vehicles which claim to have some off-road abilities. The new model is larger than the second generation. It's now 479 centimeters long versus 464 centimeters for the outgoing model. The wheelbase is now 290 centimeters versus 284 centimeters in the previous generation, and the width increased to 189.5 centimeters from 184.5 centimeters. The height went up by almost 5 centimeters to 169 centimeters. The difference in height and ground clearance helps conceal the traction battery in the electric version, like this one here. The electric Peugeot 5008 is available with a 73 or a 97 kWh battery. This is the smaller battery version. The difference in weight is just 40 kilograms. The power is 210 or 230 horsepower respectively. There is also a standard range 320 horsepower dual motor version coming soon. The claimed combined WLTP range is between 482 and 500 kilometers for the standard range model and between 629 and 664 kilometers for the extended range model. And in the urban cycle, add another 100 or 150 kilometers range respectively. More about that in a moment. Other powertrain options are a 195 horsepower PHEV with an electric range of up to around 80 kilometers and a 136 horsepower mild hybrid. EV in the mild hybrid can tow up to 1,000 kilograms, while the PHEV can tow up to 1,300 kilograms. Performance. Peugeot claims the 210 horsepower EV will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.7 seconds. I got 9.1 seconds, both in normal and sport mode, so that's good. I like reviewing EVs in colder weather because it's like a cold shower for everyone thinking that the claimed 500 or 600 kilometers range is what they'll be getting all year round. If you live in Los Angeles, where the average temperature in the winter is somewhere around 15 degrees Celsius or in the 60s Fahrenheit,
you'll be fine. But I'm reviewing this car in early January 2025 in Poland, where the winter so far has been unusually warm. So on the first day it was almost 10 degrees Celsius or high 40s Fahrenheit, but windy. And now the wind has subsided, but it's around freezing. So now I'm getting around 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers combined, a bit more on the dual carriageway, a bit less on B roads and in the city. But the economy never improved substantially. And that's despite this car having a heat pump as standard, well, at least the Polish spec. 73 kilowatt hours divided by 21 gives us less than 350 kilometers range in weather, which we are likely to experience in this part of Europe around 6 months of the year. So if you live, for example, in Frankfurt and you want to drive to Garmisch-Partenkirchen for your ski holiday, there's no way you're doing it on a single charge.
Sure, on a 5-hour drive you'd do a pit stop anyway, especially with kids on board, but what if you're going somewhere further, like maybe from Berlin to Val d'Isère? That's 1,300 kilometers, so 5 stops every 250 kilometers or so. Why so often if I said this will do 350 kilometers on a single charge? Because along the way you charge only up to about 80%. Anything more is usually a waste of time. And how fast does the E-5008 charge? It peaks at 160 kilowatts. Peugeot provides charging time from 20 to 80% state of charge, not 10 to 80 like most other car makers. So 20 to 80 takes 30 minutes. So 250 kilometers between charging is an optimistic estimate. According to Peugeot, the long-range model has a flatter charging curve because although it also peaks at 160 kilowatts, charging from 20 to 80% takes 27 minutes. And that's a 33% bigger battery.
So maybe 73 kilowatt hours is good mainly for school runs, and if you want a do-it-all EV, you go for the long-range model. The price difference is less than 10% and you're getting more use out of your car. The E-5008 has a comfortable suspension. This really is a family MPV, not an SUV or a crossover. Nobody's buying this for sporty ride and handling. It's got to be cushy, and it is. I only wish it had different seats. These may have the AGR certificate, but the headrest angle is too steep and I have to recline a bit more than I'd like. Also, this upholstery doesn't work with certain fabrics like my vest, which is probably polyester, and it's surprisingly slippery, at least in this vehicle. Apparently, the electric seats also get side bolster adjustment, but these here are regular manual seats.
Visibility is good. I wish there was an additional mirror to observe the rear seats. Meanwhile, soundproofing is not great. Above 100 km per hour, the wind noise is noticeable. Perhaps some design committee assumed you're not going to drive much faster to conserve energy. Driver aids are still hard to understand. I have no idea what is on and what is not. Like, for example, the lane keeping assist, which this car should have, but I can't tell. Adaptive cruise control is too aggressive when it comes to slowing down before the cars in front, and then it takes ages to accelerate again. And something I should have started with, the software. During my test route, I ran out of windscreen washer fluid. An appropriate message appeared for a moment, and that should have been it. Perhaps a little warning light to remind me to refill the reservoir. Instead, I got a full-blown error message and a prompt whether I'd like to navigate to the nearest dealer. I ignored the error, got to my destination and added washer fluid, and surprise, surprise, the error disappeared.
And now imagine you're on a holiday with your family and somewhere in the middle of nowhere you get an error message and navigate to dealer prompt. Well, this looks serious. You don't want to get stranded with your loved ones, so you take a detour to the garage. You lose more time waiting for diagnostics, and finally the mechanic informs you, with a smirk, that you are out of windscreen washer fluid. Yay. Same thing with front sensors, which got covered with snow the other day. An unknown error message appeared and navigate to dealer prompt, and all I had to do was clear the snow from the front of the car, which, by the way, is a bitch because there's not much heat under the bonnet, so on a snowy day the fake grille is all white, and it'll remain like this until the temperature is above freezing again. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. Since June 2024, all new cars sold in the EU must be equipped with ESA or Intelligent Speed Assistant. It's an audible speed warning and it's active every time you start the car. So some brands like Renault make it easier to turn it off and some like Toyota don't. Peugeot is somewhere in the middle. So on this optional toggles panel, you can program a shortcut to the driver aids where a couple of clicks will turn the bloody thing off. However, toggles is an option on the Allure spec, just like the elegant curved display. So the poor man's spec looks like you see in the photo right now, and either you take the GT spec or you pick Allure and get some options.
The iToggles screen also comes in handy when you want to quickly access climate control, heated seats or heated steering wheel settings. While you can set a separate shortcut for the seats, heated steering wheel setting is only accessible through the climate menu, where it's in the same submenu as the heated seats. The icons informing you that the seat or steering wheel heater is on are hard to read, and you can click them but only to turn them off, but not to turn them back on again. Also, seat heating has several stages, hard to read, and the steering wheel heater has only one setting, which is too powerful.
Navigation. On the plus side, it does an okay job of route planning with charging. However, since I have the... oh, bloody hell, this is the speech recognition thing. However, since I have the trip computer displayed on the driver's screen, sat-nav directions keep flashing at me every now and then, even if the next maneuver is miles away. Probably they're repeated every time I pass a junction or something like that. Or charging information. As I approach the car when it's locked with the key in my pocket, the car recognizes me and starts the welcome sequence. Even before I open the door, there is a message on the driver's display that says that in order to start the car, I need to apply the brake and press the start button, but no battery charge level or charging information if the car is plugged in. In the words of Adam Sandler, "Whoever designed my car can lick my sweaty nutsack."
There is also a voice assistant which wakes up to random words which must sound like "Hi Peugeot," "Okay Peugeot," or something along these lines, but then it usually tells you it can't help you, and I can't find the option to disable it in the menu. The wireless charger works only sometimes, and the only feedback is a charging icon visible in Android Auto, because the green light lights up regardless of whether the phone is charging or not.
While there's more wrong with this car, let me just say I love how the cockpit looks. The floating screen looks modern, and the curved dashboard clearly separates the driver and the passenger space, even if the driver space is a bit tight. The door pockets are deep, storage under the armrest and the glove box are, average size. But there's this big hole on the passenger side, and, well, I guess it's big because the driver can't really see it. What's in there? Hello!
On the console are hard to see and reach buttons for window defroster and something else. Cup holders are good, especially for a French car. And like in the second generation, also here the door line is too low, and I'm not particularly tall. Well, at least the doors cover the sills. The rear seat is a step backwards. Instead of 3 individual seats and 3 anchor points, now the seat part slides and it's divided 60-40. The backrest splits 40-20-40, and this is a 7-seater family MPV crossover thing. There are not 5, not 4, not 3, but 2 ISOFIX anchor points in the entire car. There are no cup holders and no armrest as such, only a folded middle part of the backrest. At least there are door pockets, third zone climate control and USB-C ports. which are marked with rectangular frames, so without a torch at first you think they are still USB-A. There is good legroom and headroom and the backrest is adjustable, but that's a bar set low for a family minivan. It's a shame you can no longer fold the front passenger seat to carry longer items like it used to be possible in the second generation. Access to the third row is good. The second row not only slides, but also lifts. Seats in the third row are larger and more comfortable than in the previous generation, although you're still sitting close to the floor. More about folding and unfolding of the third row in a moment when we go to the boot. Third row passengers get two very shallow cup holders, which you better not use because spillage is imminent. At least the door is now flat. It's easier to clean than that in the second generation. The boot. Peugeot is honest about the boot capacity, and unlike Renault, it provides its measurements as well as the VDA result. Although that includes this rather awkward storage area under the floor, but at least there's a place to store the charging cable because nobody thought a frunk would be useful in an EV. Also, the cargo cover now fits under the floor, unlike in the old model. Unfolding seats in the third row is very easy. All you have to do is pull a couple of straps, and here we are. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And now we have to do something with the boot cover. So far, so good. Right, so now we have to fold the third row back in. Easy peasy and lemon stuff. And yeah, now let's go here like so, like so. Oui, monsieur, it works perfectly, huh? Easy peasy. Ow! Bloody hell. Can you spell afterthought? But this time it's harder to open the third row of seats because there are no straps to pull the seats, so you have to reach in this rather deep boot with a high load lip. So in this storage area I keep an old rag which I put on this rather dirty bumper, and now I can reach in the French. With the third row open, the boot has 259 liters VDA, including underfloor storage. In a 5-seat configuration, it's 748 liters, and in 2-seat configuration, it's 1815 liters. Depending on the situation, the boot is lit by a single light by the floor or additionally by the third row lights, but even then, it's not enough to really see much. At least now Peugeot added a second grip to shut the tailgate, and of course the top trim gets electrically operated tailgate. Price of the Peugeot 5008 start at €43,140 for the mild hybrid, almost $3,000 more for the PHEV, and the EV starts at €51,150. This test E-5008 Allure with options costs €55,080. The Peugeot E-5008 is, as usual, a beautiful car, but unfinished. If Stellantis keeps putting out products like this, Chinese brands will replace European car makers quicker than we suspect. And what do you think about the Peugeot 5008? Which powertrain is right for you? And is this car even something you'd consider? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.